Hello? Hey Judith, this is Jillian. Can you hear me okay? Judith, can you hear me okay? Judith, are you able to hear me? Judith, if you're talking, you're muted right now. Hello? Hi, Nancy, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I was having trouble connecting with Judith. Get my video going here. All right.
Where's everybody?
I don't know, I was starting to panic.
Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic.
All right, there's Anthony.
Sorry, the dog is demanding pets while we wait.
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, old Golden.
Yeah, she's about 8 now.
Oh, she's not that old.
No, she had a rough life though.
I gotta show you the one here.
Oh, now you wanna, okay, ready?
Where's our chairperson?
Not sure. I hope he shows up soon.
Jillian, do you know if Joel is coming?
He is, and I reminded him like an hour ago.
Okay, great.
Here. Hey, Andrea.
Judith?
I'm gonna mute myself for a minute too.
Oh, Judith, what's your dog's name?
So this is Frida Kahlo, because she's Chihuahuan. And when I rescued her, she did have a unibrow.
Really?
Yes, she's kind of,
Wow.
yeah, so she kind of looked like Frida Kahlo when she was born. 7, so she's getting up there too.
Cute.
Who's Marianne Ceruzzi?
Hi, I am a Manitou resident, and I'm wondering what this is like. I moved here about 4 years ago. Actually, Jillian, I emailed you about Brad to speak at our garden club, the Manitou Springs Garden Club. And I was on open space years ago where I came from in New Jersey, and I'm just curious what this is about.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. Let me turn on my I'll turn on my.
We still need it. Oops. We still need another alternate. Are you getting any messages from him?
I'm not, and no emails either.
I'll text him.
Okay. Oh wait, there he is. He's in the lobby. Now this is a technical question. For these open meetings, should everyone be a panelist, or should folks who are not on OSAC be an attendee versus a panelist?
They should be attendees.
Okay.
So
Mary, if you can hear me, I moved you back to an attendee. I had you as a panelist.
It looks like Judy is an attendee also right now.
I've been trying to move Judy for a minute. Let me try again.
Judith Karnick?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on. She just doesn't have her video on, I think.
Hi, Tim. We were worried about you.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, Zoom decided it wanted to do an update on my system,
Oh,
the most inopportune moment. Okay, who do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 4 of us, huh? 4,
6.
5. 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 voting members.
2, 4. Oh, right. Judy is not visible. Judy, you're not visible if you're listening. Okay, well, let's open this meeting of the August 28th regular meeting of the Manitou Springs Open Space Advisory Committee is now in session, and attendees, members are Tim Beeson, Nancy Wilson, TJ Maltese, Andrea Sutella, Robin Kovic, and Judith Karnick. And we'll announce if anybody else is attending. Like always, the first thing, let me get over here to my
Where am I?
agenda. We announced that we have one vacancy for an alternate. I think that's right. And the first thing that comes up is the approval of minutes. Will anybody give us anybody state that we're approving the minutes? Thank you, Andrea.
Yes, I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
Second,
Second, okay, everybody in favor, raise your hand.
Hello,
there's
am I,
two.
Hold it.
There are two sets of minutes.
Who is speaking there?
it's Judy Karnick and I don't see myself.
Yeah, you have to turn on your video, Judith. Judy.
And that was to move to approve the minutes of 7:24 regular meeting, is that right, or both?
Yeah, wait a minute, we shouldn't be doing that. We didn't get our minutes, should we?
Right.
No, nobody got the minutes. I think our stenographer, whatever we call her, is sick. She has COVID. So we're not approving the minutes. Never mind, my bad. So we'll move on from there.
Well, we do have the minutes of the special meeting. We do have
Oh,
the
yeah.
minutes of the
Yeah, the
onsite.
special meeting, that was the onsite at Black Canyon. I wrote those up. Did anybody have an opportunity to take a look at those?
Yeah,
Tim, am I allowed to make a small edit or suggestion for those minutes?
Yes, please.
It's really small. It's just on your list of attendees, you have Brad Barr. He didn't end up making that site visit.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Brad Barr should not be on the attendee list. He didn't end up making that site visit.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right. I move that we update the minutes to show that Brad Barr is not on there. Everyone in favor, or anybody second that?
I did.
Okay. Everyone in favor, raise your hand. TJ, you're not in favor of that?
I was up in Montana, so I have
Oh,
no
okay,
idea whether
right,
these are
right.
accurate or not.
Yeah, you weren't there either. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Did I forget anybody on that list? Apparently not, so do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the 8:14 onsite?
I thought that's what we just approved.
No, we just approved an update to the minutes to remove
Okay.
the bar.
Oh,
So do we have a motion to accept the minutes? Judith? I'm reading your lips and I think it says that you're moving to accept the minutes. I think I need to hear you on that, Judy.
I keep trying both and I'm not getting, do you hear me
There you
now?
go. You've
now
got
we
it.
can.
You've got it all.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we, yes, Nancy.
Second, yeah.
I second.
Okay, can I see a show of hands to approve the minutes from the 8:14 onsite? Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. That was a lot of fun up there. Agenda review. Do we have anybody making public comment here tonight? Do we have anybody in the audience?
We
No.
do, so I'm gonna allow Marion to talk real quick.
Okay,
Hi, everyone. This is Marion. Yes. I am interested in learning more about the space that is on Manitou Avenue that is on the right-hand side as you pass the gas station. I don't know what's going in there, and a lot of people are asking me, and people I encounter, what's going on. Can you comment on that?
First of all, right and left doesn't work very well. If you can give us.
I'm sorry, you're right. Heading east.
Heading east. And
Yes,
it's
there was La Fun, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
Pete-
Yeah, does anybody know what's going on there? I don't.
It's,
No.
you would,
Nancy, you
Oh,
just
sorry,
muted
what?
yourself.
you would want to contact the Urban Renewal Authority.
The Urban Renewal Authority?
Yes, it's in their jurisdiction.
I
And
see.
if you look at this week's bulletin, I think there's an annual report by the Urban Renewal Authority that mentions that. But their contact and stuff is in that article. So it's all under the Urban Renewal Authority at this point.
Close the landing windows?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had. I'm going back to listening mode, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Okay, moving on. Did everybody have a chance to look at the pair of minutes? And does anybody want to make any comments, changes, or anything? No, in that case, do we have a motion?
Nope.
Yeah, Andrea?
There we go. Sorry. I just was reading through them just a minute ago. And I just noticed that they were talking about their budget toward the end of the second set of minutes. And just that they had a 60,000 set aside, or at least prioritized to go towards the Higginbotham Flats master plan.
Right.
Which is cool. But just kind of thinking about like the Serpentine / Creek Walk kind of stuff, like it would be great to hopefully coordinate that. And I guess Jillian, you're sort of involved with things from both perspectives, so just kind of
Can I suggest that we move on from that? And I think the first thing we've got, not the first thing, but the first thing in old business that we've got is the Serpentine Drive. And maybe we can have that. I think where you're going is that we want to combine those things. Is that correct, Andrea? Or did I jump ahead?
yeah, just to coordinate really is all.
Yeah, right. Okay, why don't we wait till we get there and we'll have that whole discussion.
Great.
Okay. So if everybody's okay with the Parab minutes, let's vote to accept them. Do we have a motion?
I don't think we have to accept them.
We don't have to accept them. Okay, they're not ours. All right.
No.
Okay, in that case, let's move on and to new business. And I put this under new business. I don't know what exactly goes under new business and old business, but we got a couple of new pieces of property, and let's brag about it. So the first thing that comes up is 0 Becker's Lane, also known as the Fields Park Creekside parcel. And I put a map in there just so everybody was oriented and knew where we were talking about. One of the things of interest that strikes me on this is, and I've known about this for a while, and I have to get a hold of the LLC that owns that little sliver of property that's outside of our purchase, but is actually the Creekside property there. And I need to contact them and beg for an easement, for a public easement. And hopefully I'll beg well. Certainly nobody else can do anything with that. And hopefully we haven't offended anybody over there.
Ha.
But we will do that soon. I don't know if there's. Yeah, so the next thing, we've purchased that, it's completed, and yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, so on that property, I know Jillian, you sent the thing about taking the fence down. If you see the property right now, like every place else in town, the weeds have gone nuts. You can hardly, anyway, it's kind of a mess. And my thought is, you know, we really don't want to take the fence down until we know what we're going to do with it. Because right away, when we take the fence down, there's a couple things that could happen. A, there could be homeless camps in there, and B, yeah, I think we need to have a plan for how we want to proceed from here. You know, do we want to mow it? All of that. So until
Just
we
to
do
let-
that,
Just to let you know, the wide double gates are down.
well, they are.
They were
That's what
down
happened
several
in the
days
last-
ago. So right where the bridge is and where the fence starts, those are down, and you know, they were quite large. There's also a couple holes in the fence, you know, a little farther down behind the soccer field. So if people wanted to get in there, they have easy access now. So, and I did go back there just to take a look, and you are absolutely right. It definitely needs care and tending to.
Judith, did that happen just in the last couple of days? Because I looked at it just probably 3 or 4 days ago, and the gates were
I
still
want
there.
to say it was about 3 days ago, actually. It was several, I want to say that I walked it, what's today, Monday? Either Friday or Saturday, I walked back there.
Okay.
So it was down by the end of last week.
Okay.
Just the
So,
gate
Ian,
part.
what are the plans for that right now? We've talked about this before, so.
So we've been instructed to remove the fence. However, I do think it's extremely prudent to have a plan before we tear it down and have to deal with all the weeds and potential transient camps that are back there. There are a few holes already in the fence, so I have no doubt that there might be a camp or two. We did remove the gate at the start of the property, so that was us. So hopefully no one was panicking on that one, but we did remove that. Removing the fence is going to be a big project. It's pretty long, it's pretty deep in the ground, but we are happy to remove it. We have a place we can store it. A lot of the fence is in really good condition, so we're excited to be able to reuse that eventually.
Good.
But I would love to hear your thoughts on what would you like to see us do with the property right away once that fence is removed.
PJ?
I just want to point out that we're usually not in the business of mowing open space right now. So between that and all the branches and stuff that have fallen off the trees, I don't think that's a possible way of going. I like the idea of letting, our city staff go ahead and make a plan for how to remove that and get it out of the way. And quite honestly, I think by taking down the fence with the number of deer and stuff that we have around here, maybe the weeds will kind of take care of themselves that way, going the long way through a deer. So, I'm just okay with rather than actively mitigating any of the weeds right now, bar any of the schedule, the really bad invasives that we have to eradicate, just not really doing a whole lot.
Do we,
Okay.
I have-
Yeah, Judith.
do we have to think kind of inside the box on this? Could we think outside the box? Could we think about, I don't know if this is applicable, but would that be a good place to start what I don't believe we have yet in Manitou, which is a community garden? Or is there too much shade?
I think it's too much shade. Those huge cottonwood trees are there, and it's probably not a very good site for a
Yeah.
community garden. That's my
I was
guess.
just trying to think if there was something we don't really have in Manitou that would be cool. And I thought that might be one.
Nancy,
Can't hear.
can't hear you. You're muted.
That's because I'm at my grandmother's birthday party, and you might not be able to hear me at all if I. But anyway, when one of the things that happened before city council approved this is that we heard that somebody was interested in having, CSU was interested in having a community garden there. And we also questioned what the heck, it's too much shade and that kind of thing. Anyway, just to let you know that there was a discussion about a community garden, that nothing came of that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real concern at this
It
point.
didn't seem like a valuable option, but one of the things I'm wondering, and a couple of things we kind of threw around is, you know, OSAX bought it, and you know, we bought it as open space, but it's not really in many ways open space. You know, it's pretty confined on all sides. It's not that big a piece of property and all that kind of stuff. I mean, a couple of things that have been talked about is, one is giving it to Parab and let Parab be responsible about it, for it. And, you know, maybe they do want to develop it into a Riverside Park or a Riverside educational program or something like that. I mean, like Judy, I think we should think outside the box so that you know, we are responsible for maintaining open space. But this isn't probably the kind of open space that we're going to be able to let be wild without some kind of maintenance. I don't disagree with TJ at all. I think I'd rather just let it go for a while and kind of see what we see along there and what happens. But eventually, you know, we may decide that really it's a nice piece of property. It belongs to the city of Manitou, and you know, maybe it's better as a park than an open space. But
Okay.
point is, it won't ever be
One
developed.
thing about the weeds, it is really out of control. And we need to have eyes on in that area. At least and maybe you're right, TJ. Maybe once the wildlife gets in there, that it'll take care of a lot of that. But right now, I don't know if we can see anything in there, just looking at it. And we have to be very cautious about the homeless problem, because that has been a problem in the past, and that's why the fence is there. So we really need to think about what we need to do in order to make sure that that doesn't turn into a problem for the neighborhood. Yes, Judith?
Well, while it is very overgrown, there is a well-established two-track dirt road, I would say, a dirt road that's easy to walk and very clear, kind of down the middle. So where it's really wild is on the creek side and on the fence side. But I do agree, and I think it's a really great discussion that Judith and Nancy are bringing up, that because city council, there was one city council member, Councilor Johnson, that was asking our city attorney about, you know, if it's open space, can picnic tables and those kinds of things be on it? And he did say, yes, that's possible. But I do think it then is falling more in the purview of a park. So I like the discussion that you're having.
Yeah, I think it's a great discussion, and I kind of saw it as more of a park too. I mean, somebody could argue that we shouldn't have spent our money on it as an open space, but TJ waving his hand. But I think we did a good thing, TJ. And now we have to do the best thing we can with that piece of property. And I think you're right, Nancy. We should have Parab in on this conversation and see if they want us to turn that over to them as a park. Where do we want to go with this tonight? I don't think we're going to settle this question. Yeah, Andrea.
I have two thoughts really quick. One would be, it might be a cool thing to have like a volunteer cleanup kind of, you know, or weed pull or something, just as like a celebratory welcome to the community kind of thing, which I would be willing to help organize if anybody's up for that. But the other thing is, I think picnic tables would be cool. And I was just wondering if the city already has that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, would that be, I don't know, how hard would that be?
I don't think it would be hard to install picnic tables. I know we don't have a bunch lying around right now, but we could acquire some picnic tables and get them installed. I do think we have to have a concrete base for the tables going forward, so that we would need to pour concrete in that area to get the tables there.
Oh, no, really? So we couldn't move them around, or, you know?
I'll do some digging, Tim, but that's the latest I heard on the picnic tables and benches.
Huh,
I'll see
And
what I
because because it's in the floodplain, they have to be fastened down big time, like onto
Okay.
concrete with chains and stuff, because
Well, I say we wait a while to see where we want
Right.
them before we do that. And Andrea, I think it's a great idea if you would like to organize something like that. Judith?
The Creek Walk cleanup is Saturday, October 7th. And I know there's at least 4 staging areas, and there's gonna be, I usually go every year, and there's, tons of volunteers. So if the group wanted to do something that day,
Great.
you'd get a lot of people to help out. We could get a crew down there.
Okay.
Be
Do we
part-
want to do some cutting down there before we do that, or are we even going to do any cutting? What do you think?
we would at least need to walk it with MSPD in case there are camps there. So that
Yeah,
would
right,
absolutely need
right.
to be done first. I don't know if we would need to cut it necessarily. I'm sure there's a lot of trash interwoven next to the
Mhm.
creek, but it could be a really great creek walk site. Thanks, Judith.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Can you look into organizing that, Andrea?
Andrea, if you need help, I'll help.
Yeah,
Ranch.
Crew
sure.
lead too.
Just call on anybody you need.
And Andrea, so City of Manitou Springs, we have 4 Creek Week cleanup sites already. The reason we don't have the Field Park stretch on there is because someone else adopted it before we got to it. So I'll figure out who signed up to be the crew leader for that, and I'll connect you with them if that would be helpful. Okay.
All right, great. Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
You sure you're ready, TJ? Okay. Next on the agenda is to pat ourselves on the back, or the backs, for the Bill Bauer adjacent parcel that we have now purchased. And there's also a map on that on page 12. And again, it's just in there to show people, get people oriented for where this thing's at. And it's really a great piece of property because of it's hard to tell. I haven't walked the whole thing, TJ. I walked it from the bottom up for a while, and then I got rained out, and I walked it from the top down, and I got rained out. But have you walked the whole thing?
I have not walked the whole thing. I've just kind of checked it out from below, and no, I haven't seen it, but it looks like just looking at the geology over there. I'm sorry, I'm a geologist. I look at the rocks all the time, and just looking at the geology over there, I think it's pretty nice place to spend your time.
Yeah, I think it is too. And what I saw is there's a real easy access to it off of Bill Bauer Park. And of course, there's an access to it off of Crystal Park Road. I don't know if there's a cliff in between where I went and where I stopped and whatever, but I don't think there is. And I think it's very, very much that we can build a trail down through there. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be, a 5-foot wide multi-use trail down there. It's
Not even close.
too tight in places. And it's probably going to wash out because it's going to be close to the creek. It's going to be right down there. So it's going to look a little bit more like a neighborhood trail, but we need to get down in there and take a look at it.
Yeah, I think the next step is the parcel immediately to the north there is city-owned property. It's about 5 acres or so.
Right.
That was originally designated open space when we were talking with Dylan years ago, and that was one of those parcels that the open space designation was never officially made. So we have to see what the designation is on that property before we plan on going through there. But I think that's also a good opportunity for us by getting traffic down there for like people that want to walk down to play pickleball or go to Lulu's or whatever from the neighborhood over there, to get some traffic down in that area too, to discourage some of the encampments that we found in previous years.
Yeah, that's great. And I should also mention that this other parcel that I have the parcel number on ending in 3026. That's owned by the fellow, the couple that we bought, our property with, the green, shown in green. And he has indicated that he wants to subdivide that parcel that is his. And when he does that, he intends to give Manitou Springs a sliver of that, because this funny little place where it goes in like an hourglass, there's not much land there. And the creek's on the other side of it, and that's on his property. So he has indicated that he wants to give us a sliver of land in there. So at one point, we need to get somebody down in there to do a trail alignment or look at a trail alignment. I think we should wait until after we all, or whoever's interested, goes down there and takes a look at it. I'd suggest going in pairs, because it's snake country down there and it's overgrown, and you want to be real careful, and you don't want to be alone down there if you get hit. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but so TJ, I'd love to go down through there with you sometime. Why don't we just connect and see if we can.
Yeah, let me know. I'm in town until September 10th or so before heading back up to Montana. So I'll be around
Okay,
for a couple
I'll
weeks
give you a
at
call.
least.
I'll give you a call. And anybody else that wants to walk down in there, I'm willing to walk at any time.
Are you gonna send out an announcement when you decide on a date and time?
No, I'm trying to keep from doing that because this is going to be pretty informal, and I'm not sure we want a bunch of people walking down through there at the same time yet. Because we're definitely going to, and I probably will get an email. I need to get an email from Larry Rose saying it's okay to tramp on his property down there on the 3026 parcel of property. So for now, anyway, we won't send out until we know what's down there. I don't want to send out a public statement on it. So is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, dude.
On the trail itself, the new one, or I mean the property itself. When we were back there were, I think, 2 homeless camps. So do we now say to Jillian, is somebody gonna go back there and clean those up? Do we not do it? Is it
Yeah,
to start to do anything?
it's a good point. That's on the other side of the creek, the other side of the valley that we saw those homeless.
Mhm.
So I don't know. When TJ and I are down there, we'll scope it out, and we'll do a C click fix.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, I know the Manitou Springs Police Department has a dedicated officer for these issues too. So I'm sure he'll be right on it.
Good, I hope so. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so good on us. We've got those 2 pieces of property, and let's move on to Serpentine Drive.
Tim, just real quick,
Yeah.
we had talked about just like trying to do an announcement or something, maybe just through the city messaging system, just about the purchase of those properties, just to celebrate that a little bit. Or just
Okay.
share the info.
Okay, Jillian, how would we work that out?
Could do a press release?
Yeah,
Well, our PIO just left for Iceland like an hour ago. So if you guys are willing to wait, or I could try to do one. I'd be happy to throw my hand at it. But yes, Alex, he is our press release guru, and he's taking a well-deserved vacation right now.
maybe we should wait until after the cleanup.
He'll be back September 12th. So we don't need to necessarily wait until October 7th, which is the date of the Creek Week cleanup we're doing.
Yeah,
He'll be back mid-September.
yeah. I don't know if we want people tromping around back there yet.
And just to know, in the past, I've written articles for the Bulletin about OSAC when we've done a trail cleanup or something like that. So, anybody could write a story about the purchase of these properties.
Okay, I'll coordinate with Jillian and write something up.
Okay, great.
Okay. So we're not gonna wait for the cleanup. Okay, that's fine.
You want, but
At least I'll go down there and walk that property just to make sure we don't have a whole bunch of people living there.
the bulletin really likes pictures too, if, you know, if there's a picture worth taking, but
Okay, okay. I'll get it done. All right, so moving on to Serpentine Master Plan. I thought we had Dole.
Joel is on the line. He's actually calling in. We had some technical difficulties, but he is there. He's the little phone icon.
Okay,
So, Joel, if you want to introduce yourself, and yeah, we're on the Serpentine Master Plan part of the agenda.
Well, I'm Zoom call. I had to call in. I guess I just have bad cell coverage. But yeah, I'm Joel Grubenic, city engineer for Manitou Springs. And then it sounds like you guys all want an update on Serpentine, at least regarding Creek Walk.
absolutely. We want an update on Serpentine. And we also would like to know how Serpentine and Higginbotham Flats, we now have two separate master plans on the board, and whether or not those can be combined. That was Skylar Beck's idea, that if we combine those, it would be a big enough project that GOCO could get real interested in funding a lot of it. So.
Yeah. So the good news is that we have successfully applied for grants to fund the design of the Creek Walk Trail along Serpentine. And we've applied for grants and successfully received them for construction funds along Serpentine.
wow.
Excellent.
Yeah. So one of the nice things about the fact that the feds have already put so much money into Creek Walk, they're kind of invested. The other benefit is that we only asked for the one project and we asked for a reasonable amount of money. So they were happy to give it to us. And they know its connection to Rainbow Falls and getting to partner with El Paso County always helps you when you're applying for grants like that.
Fantastic. And then,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, Jillian and I advertised a design RFP last week, I think, soliciting design services to design the corridor. And so that would include basically the Creek Walk effort from there all the way to Rainbow Falls is kind of the scope. I'm going to complicate things a little bit because the Serpentine Bridge through there, as you guys all know, the bridge is actually in fairly good shape, but that has an issue. So we had a local bridge engineering firm that does bridge inspections look at it. And while they were looking at it, I asked them to go ahead and do modeling on how we could try to get pedestrians, the trail, across there, through there, under, around there, you name it, we looked at it. We even looked at putting like a tunnel through trying to put in a low water crossing things. And they are all very complicated and very challenging for lots of reasons, which we could go over one day. But we determined that the most ideal location for the Creek Walk Trail through there is to actually have it up on the Serpentine Bridge, to shift the travel lanes over as far as we can, and then to create a pedestrian sidewalk through there to get people over that bridge. And then to have them cross Serpentine just a little bit shortly after the bridge to the west. So that's the gist of the design contract that we're soliciting the services for.
How
Now,
much are we spending?
What's that?
How much are we getting on that?
Well, we haven't done pricing yet, but
Okay.
we have $100,000 for design.
Right, 50,000 from us and 50,000 from EPRAT or Pikes Peak Regional
Well,
Area.
It's actually multimodal opportunity fund.
Okay, well, that's.
Yeah, and then, but here's what you did not hear me say. None of that necessarily specifically addressed Higginbotham, but I do agree with Skylar, and Skylar and I talked about it quite a bit when he was here, because I do think the two sites, whether or not they get built at the same time, I do think that having those two areas work together is in the best interest of the city. So I do think that Higginbotham, what I suspect will happen is there will be enough capacity in the design contract to also include design effort to connect to Higginbotham.
Fantastic.
Now,
So when we say connect to Higginbotham, we're talking about a trail down from Higginbotham to
Creek Walk.
Serpentine Road, right?
Yes. And when Skylar and I did some preliminary layout, we thought it would probably connect near the Serpentine roundabout.
Oh, wow.
But that doesn't include, I mean, that's just kind of us looking at a map, looking at it from the ground. That doesn't include, you know, what it's going to take to put an actual trail or staircase or whatever through there. But we kind of liked it connecting there because the terrain is prohibitive for the majority of that stretch. And so it only allows a trail in that section probably as close to the roundabout as we could get. It gets pretty steep. And then the other challenge is there's a creek that has to be crossed. That has its challenges. So I think from a design perspective, it's easy to design, but I think from a construction and cost perspective, that can increase. But at least we would have those numbers and know what to budget for or get a GOCO grant or, you know, however we want to proceed. But at least we know what to ask for.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any trail coming down to Serpentine, joining in where it does the switchback, right? You're not looking.
I mean, I think if that's all that we wanted to do, that's fairly easy.
That's what I thought.
I mean, because the road has already prepared a lot of that grade, and a lot of people parking there over the years have also flattened that out. If we wanted to put just a sidewalk or a multi-use trail adjacent to the road, I don't think that would be all that complicated.
Is there
And I
room?
think,
Go ahead.
well,
ahead,
I
George.
think that maybe, yeah, to those points is that once we get a designer under contract, that it would be great to have kind of a scoping meeting to chat with them and to be like, hey, can you also analyze, you know, these couple of things and, you know, and then let, you know, certain groups like you guys choose an alignment and location and that kind of thing. I think anything's an option.
Great. So so it's gone out to bid now, Joel?
Yes, it's out for proposal. We open them up in like another week and a half. Then depending upon how many, and I think we're going to get lots of solicitations. I've had 4 or 5 consultants call me already referencing them. So I think that, you know, this is I don't know, it's a small contract, but I hope that we get 3 or 4 or 5 proposals. So we have to review and score them. And then if they're competitive enough, we go into interviews. If not, we can select a firm. And then we have to get a scope of work from them, get them under a contract. So, I mean, it probably might, let's see, we'll open up proposals mid-September. I could see us having someone under contract maybe late October, depending upon how we hit with the council session. If we can get the 2nd October or the 2nd Tuesday in October, then we could be under contract shortly after that.
That's great.
Is this proposal include something to tie in Rainbow Falls, which is just having a terrible time?
Yeah, it would. It would. We would want to make sure we have multi-use trail access all the way to its gates. And I'm sure Jillian has told you, but we're actually meeting with the county tomorrow, I think, or Wednesday. to discuss Rainbow Falls with the county.
Good.
Roy and I have joked that Manitou should manage it, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure the county knows what that means yet.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we would treat it similar to the incline, where we're proactive, we're managing it. It's not just a free-for-all.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Skylar had talked about having El Paso County sell it to us for $1, but I don't know if that'll go.
Well, we
Well,
gave it to them, so
oh, really?
yes.
Well, the problem now, and I
Mika
haven't
owned the
looked, but I
property. Mika got the property with Sally Clark's help from the mining company, owned it for $1. And then
Okay.
we had it. And then we gave it to El Paso County Parks with certain agreements, which I don't know if those were kept. But
okay.
so many problems with that. The parking, I mean, nobody expected it to turn into what it's turned into, which is a big attraction. And there's the parking is a problem. People are walking down Serpentine Drive from where they throw their cars up at Rainbow Falls and I mean, at Higginbotham Flats. And now the fellow has bought that place and says he's going to turn into a pay parking lot, which will attract people, but there's still no safe way for them to get from there down to
Right.
Rainbow Falls.
The county said that during the peak weekend, they have 500 visitors a day,
Mhm,
and they only have 9 parking spaces.
mhm.
So it needs to be managed, I think, from now on if it reopens. It can't just be a free-for-all. It's too hard on the city.
Judith, that argues for a trail from Higginbotham down to
Yeah.
Serpentine at that
Well,
point.
and we also have to have the conversation that this might be an attraction that's going to have to be on a reservation system, just like the incline. And I know that people don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, but in order to preserve Rainbow Falls, I think that has to be on the table.
And Judith,
Okay.
we tried to suggest it to the county 2 years ago, and they just weren't. I don't think they really understood what we had going for us. But I do agree with you. I think it needs to go to something like that.
Yeah. So just food for thought for the future.
Well, that all sounds excellent, Dole. Thank you so much for the work, you and Jillian both. Yeah, this is the only beach we've got, so we got to work on it.
Joel, do you see having any public meetings? Do you see a public meeting process with this? Is that an RFP?
I do. I think that we need to get a consultant on board, and I think we need to do some conceptual work on what's possible, feasible. You know, we have a floodplain through there. And I think that Jillian and I would work with the design firm to come up with some conceptual ideas. And then we'll have to get guidance from city administration if how to handle that. But I absolutely think the public needs to be engaged and involved and weigh in on some of the details. You know, I think that my job in this is to kind of figure out what's possible and what's not possible. And then whatever is possible needs to be decided, I think, by the community.
Mhm. Okay, thanks. Well, and if there's something, if you need members of OSAC on any of review committees or anything, I'm sure that there are people who would be willing to serve.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know, and I appreciate that. And I always enjoy having the community engaged and involved. It just seems to work better.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, hey, thank you.
We got one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, can we put the creek walk on? Well, Dole's still on?
Well, I also want to ask him something about the Black Canyon. So we've got a couple of things.
Okay.
So are we done with Serpentine for now? Okay, let's move on to Black Canyon. I think that's next on our list, and it's next in the maps anyway. We had a good meeting on the 18th, with, you've seen the list of attendees and lots of people spreading out and roaming along that property. I think we all know where it is now, which is probably a lot better than often we were to start with. And one of the big issues that came up that I brought up is that, and I think I agree with TJ now, that we've had this in existence for a long time now, and we've had the issue, not the issue, but the possibility of getting property from Westside LLC to the south for at least 3 years now, probably 4, talking about it, going back and forth, and it hasn't happened. And so I think we're ready to go ahead and do something on this to put in a trail from there. And the question I have for Dole right now is, I don't know if you've been up there. Do you know what we're talking about here, Dole?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Okay, there's a beautiful little road that runs up from the west entrance to the Garden of the Gods. That's called Garden Drive. Up, you go down, see what happened there. Ah, great, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
can
you.
you guys
Yeah,
see
this is, thank you very much, Jillian.
Yep, we can
This
see
is
it.
El Paso Boulevard, and this road right here goes into the Garden of the Gods. You take a quick left off that, and this road called Black Canyon Road, which is a paved city road, City of Colorado Springs Road, goes up to Cedar Heights. And our piece of property sits right along here.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, you're not seeing what I'm doing when I'm.
Do you see the map?
You,
I thought I was all powerful there for a second. So the question I have is, do you see any issue with us putting in a trail that comes out right at that southeast corner? The eastern corner south, yeah, the southeast corner of the property, up a little bit more onto where the road is, Black Canyon Road is. There you go, right there. Right around there is where it makes sense for us to have a trail going into this property.
to answer your question, I'd have to look at it and understand. I mean, I'm afraid I don't know any of the details.
Okay, well, I can't ask a question then, you're right. All right, but let's leave it there then. I think we're at the point where we want to get where we want to get somebody in there to look at it, as far as putting a trail in. And let's go back to, yeah, everybody, I want to be able to see everybody when I suggest this. We'll be talking in a bit about all of our contractors. Andrea and Corey have done a great job of pulling together a list of those for us. Andrea, I want to add one other person to that, and that's Keith Thompson. Do you know who he is? There was an article in Colorado Springs Magazine, it's a quarterly magazine, but talking with him and what he's been doing, and he's been doing this, he's done several trails this way, as he's coming in and building trails that are a little bit more challenging for the mountain bikers, and hence can go into a little bit steeper areas and still be multi-use trails, in that they're good for hikers, a little bit more challenging, and they're good for bikers, a little bit more challenging. And I thought that was a great fit for us on those trails where we can't reasonably put in a 3 or 5 foot wide multi-use trail that we're used to building, but build something a little more challenging for both the hikers and the mountain bikers. What do you think of that, Andrew?
He does have a bit of a poor reputation in some rings. not 100% honest. However, I think any of these people like on those lists, I think if we start looking at all of them, could do that exact same thing. So
Okay, well,
that's just my,
Shot you down.
I'll keep that in mind. I'm meeting with them in a couple of days, but anyway, we can go, that doesn't mean we're gonna hire them, so.
And I
Yeah.
want to interject here because this relates to Black Canyon. I did finally get a hold of my very busy contact with City of Colorado Springs, and I'm working on setting up a meeting in mid-September. And he kind of directly asked if Manitou Springs would be interested in taking over the Westside LLC donation. So please, I don't want to get hopes up or anything, but I do want to put it out there.
Oh, we don't have our hopes up. Oh, not us. Look at Nancy. She's so
Out there
calm.
that, I will be sitting down with them in September to discuss Black Canyon. So I'll have the Black Canyon open space point of contact park ranger from that property, and also the senior landscape architect, and also the design and development manager who
Is there-
recently took Britt Haley's place. So should be
Julian,
pretty
is
good.
there anybody from Steve Shuck's organization that's gonna be there? Cause he owns it.
Is anybody? I don't know. I'm waiting to hear back from David Diedemeyer is my contact with Colorado Springs. So I'm not sure if anyone from Westside is going to be present.
That would be the best scenario, though. That's great that they want to
Yeah,
talk about it, because he
Yeah.
wanted to give it to them.
I don't, unless Westside is there, unless Westside is represented. And we don't, to the best of my knowledge, we don't have anything in writing that says that Steve Shuck's gonna do anything. And
No,
we
but
can-
maybe Dave Diedemeyer might know
Well, that's
something.
what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Do we have anything from the Shuck organization that say that they're going to do something with that property? Because I've heard rumors that they're not. So, and the rumors are just rumors, and that's all they are. But Steve Shuck doesn't have to do anything, period. And if he's not, then we're just wasting time. So that would be my question. Number one question for Niedermeyer. It's Dietermeyer, isn't it? Dieter or Nieder?
David Diedemeyer with the D.
Dietermeyer. For Mr. Dietermeyer would be, does he have a definitive statement that Steve Shuck is going to do anything with that property?
Okay.
Because he can just say no. It's his property. Okay, well, anyway, in the meantime, let's think about, well, we'll have to wait until that meeting to find out which way we're gonna go. Whether we're gonna build a trail off of Black Canyon Road, or that would be fabulous. That would be the answer, would be to build it through the West Side property. So we'll wait for that to make any further comments on this. Anybody else? Moving right, and thank you, Andrea, for the input. Next slide, next topic is Creekside, and Nancy, take it away. And we'll want to ask Dole his questions as quickly as possible so he can get off the phone.
Yeah. Or do you guys want to chat about Creek Walk?
Nancy, hold on.
About the other-
Nancy's muted again, so.
Nancy,
Nancy,
Yeah, you might as well take it, Dole. If you could explain what the 90% contractor is, or what it's called, that you just received, and kind of where we are with Creek Walk.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So Creek Walk Trail Phase 3, which is the section that's under construction, they're going to pour the final concrete this week. And they got a lot of the lands. I mean, everything's about done. They have a picnic table to still install, but we're getting close. We plan to have the trail mostly open by the end of this week, so that's terrific. The next phases, we call them 4 and 5, which is from Mayfair, basically to Chase Bank. And that's the 90% plans that Nancy's referring to. And Nancy, you could share that meeting invitation with all the members of OSAC. I guess I probably should have done that. But
Oh.
whoever would like to attend would be welcome to, and we'll just kind of walk through the plans a little bit. And it's not like earth shattering. I mean, the long and short of it is that if you walk that stretch of sidewalk, you guys notice that there's utility poles and there's a lot of trees in the way.
Mhm.
So starting, I think they're going to be in town next week. Paul Construction is going to start undergrounding those communication lines in conduits under the sidewalk and then removing the poles. So just that alone is going to improve that area. And then the basic scope of that project is if you keep the back of the sidewalk that's closest to the creek, if you keep that line, we're going to widen 10 feet from that back of the sidewalk into the street. We're actually going to narrow the lanes, the turn lanes, and the on-street shoulder parking to make room for the multi-use trail so that we'll have no new imperviousness. We'll maintain all the naturalness from the back of the sidewalk to the creek. We won't even disturb that. And we'll widen everything into the street section, which is, I think, a pretty good solution to put a trail through there.
And the meeting is this Wednesday at 2 p.m. and it's a virtual meeting.
Right. Those work out well because I can pan through the plans and point stuff out.
I'd like to attend that meeting. I don't know who I get an invite from.
Nancy, can you share it with everyone that needs to see it? Or do I need to do that?
Let's see, I can.
I think you need to do that, Dole. Just send it out to all of OSAC.
Okay.
People
Okay.
can decide who's going to come. That needs to be,
And this is a meeting about this phase of the creek walk?
Right.
Yes. And so this is a chance to have questions, to discuss it with the consultant. Then I think once that discussion goes through, we need to get scheduled to get with council and kind of show them this layout and proposal and get their comments, and then take all that and then compile it into final design and then get them into construction drawings to advertise for construction.
Right. So just for OSAC. So I don't know if you remember, it was, wow, it's been close to a year, hasn't it? Van Dole, since we hired the design folks.
Yeah, probably, we paused them a little bit because of the Chase Bank site.
Right. So
But we
anyway,
decided to go ahead and, go ahead.
yeah, we're further, we'll be kind of following the same process. You'll be following the same process kind of with Serpentine. So the design work is done. And now, their proposal, their 90% proposal. I don't know, why is it called a 90% proposal?
Was your 90% there?
Because- Yes, the design is 90% complete, yes.
Anyway, the 90% design package is what will be gone over on Wednesday. And the people invited are people who have been, so far, people who have been on the Creek Walk Trail Committee. But it's an open meeting, so anybody could come. But Joel, I don't know how to send the link. You would have to do that.
I'll get with Julie and make sure I have the distribution list right, and I'll send it out.
Nancy, you couldn't do that anyway without breaking the sunshine law.
Oh. Okay.
Which I did last week by accident.
So
Can
it's
you
a
get your hands wrapped?
Microsoft Teams meeting, so it's not a Zoom meeting. Just to warn you guys, it's not a Zoom meeting. It's a Microsoft Teams meeting, which is a different application, but it's
Okay.
easy to download or not.
So
Okay.
yeah, whoever can attend on Wednesday, that'd be great. I'll send it out in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thanks, all. See ya.
Fine. Okay, Nancy, do we have anything more we want to say about Creek Walk?
I don't think so. That was the main thing. Just wanted people to know, if, unless you have unless you have questions.
Not hearing.
Yep.
Okay,
I expected to get a reaction from you about the trees. And I sent Joel a list of questions after reading the 90% design contract. And one of my questions was, was the contractor aware of the ordinance now that for every tree cut down, you have to plant, is it 2 trees? 3 trees? 5 trees?
Depends on the circumference of the tree at chest height.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of my questions. I was going to shoot an email to Dole because I was reading in, I don't know if it was the city weekly report, but it did say that the arborist had taken a look at what trees were going to be impacted. And that was something that I wanted to know more about.
Right, because in the contract that I've looked at, there's no discussion of landscaping quite whatsoever. And I'm not sure that there will, that what the appropriateness of it. So that's going to be a big question in my mind. On Wednesday.
Just for your reference, though, in the new land use development code, I can't tell you what page it's on. But there is a table in there on how many trees need to be planted for whatever circumference of tree is removed. A heritage tree is considered 23 inches in diameter at chest height. I don't know whose chest you're measuring from, but
that's a common tree measurement. It's actually DBS diameter.
So that's my concern, that if there are some heritage trees that are looking to be removed, if they're still healthy, I think we need to have a discussion about it. But that's we can, that's just another discussion item to add to the list. But thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also wanted to know what the steps are going to be made out of that go from the turf trail along the creek up to the sidewalk. Right now, the answer I got was probably timber steps. So anyway, there's just little details like that will be more fleshed out, but
probably a good conversation for that meeting coming up, right?
Pardon?
That's probably a good conversation.
There'll be more of a discussion on Wednesday.
Okay, great. Jillian, I didn't get the date for your September meeting with Dietermeier. Was that the 16th?
I don't have a date yet. I sent him 3 dates I'm available, so I'm waiting to hear back. But it will be one of the teams, so September something team.
Yeah, let me know. I don't know if you want me there, but I'm certainly willing to be there if you do. Okay, so moving on, and this thing that's a little vaingloriously called a OSAC document storage architecture, which is just the data structure, which is just the directory hierarchy that we're getting set up by Alex Treffert. He's ready to go on that, and we're going to send this over to him and start populating it with documents and see if it ends up being worthwhile. Any comments on that? Gone. Okay. And the last thing, let's see, Inman needs some love after the heavy storms. It certainly does. Andrea, you want to take that away? Trails update.
Sure. So yeah, if you guys have been on the Intamin, you've probably seen some pretty washed out parts. So there's definitely a lot of drainage work that needs to be done. And I talked to Jillian, I think, just briefly, just you saying that you had talked to Renfie, and we're looking at some of those kind of high need areas right now with them for their work for this year?
Yeah, we went out and hiked a few weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and they easily identified 3 weeks worth of work up there. And I think it'd be a great fit for their contract this fall, to have them fix some of those major drainage issues, do some trail restructuring in areas, and just spend a good amount of time fixing what the flood kind of tore apart this past season. So I'm happy to go out on a site visit with everyone and check out the areas that we walked with Carl and Elizabeth from Renfe. But I think it'd be a great use of the Renfe contract this fall.
Right. And Jillian, that was primarily between Pawnee and Spring Street, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. We've got the same problem on Iron Mountain on the other side, so we got a lot of work to do. One thing I wanted to bring up here, it's kind of a sidebar, but I went over the numbers from Nicole. God, I forget Nicole's last name. Works for Becca in accounting.
Ortega.
Huh?
Nicole Ortega.
Ortega, Nicole, yeah, Nicole Ortega. And she sent me the financials up to date, and I took a lot of time going through those, and that's just my problem with going through those. But what it comes down to is we have a carryover of about $317,000 into from last year into this year, July through June. And so at some points in there, it looks like we've got $500 and almost $600,000, but that money's all been spent. So what we really have is about a minus $70,000, but that's okay. We're buying things, we're doing good things, and we're spending money on what the money's supposed to be spent on. But we don't have our war chest is sinking a little bit. That's okay. We're spending it on the right things. But I think we need to look at and a lot of that money's not going to be spent this year. So without going into the weeds here, I think we're okay. And we need to figure on spending another, I don't know how much, $30,000 plus beyond what we've already committed on trails, because I can see a lot of money being spent on the switchbacks on Iron Mountain and on the washout up above the switchbacks, where there's a steep road that leads down from below the peak to the Iron Mountain Trail, and there's a section there that is just deeply rutted, deeply washed out. And it's someplace that we can get a heavy equipment in there, heavy equipment being a small backhoe or something that can take care of that very quickly. And I'm jumping ahead, but one of those items Andrea and I had talked about maybe getting somebody like, and Nancy had talked about maybe getting somebody like Tony Boone from Timberline to work on that, because they've done that kind of work. So let me throw it back to you, Andrea. I got off on the side there, and see what you have to say on this.
Yeah, I think it's great to do kind of a full intimate assessment. And then, yeah, I guess there's the Mile High Youth Corps also. So to be considered with their projects as well.
So who do we talk to? This is the list that I talked about that Corey and Andrea put together. So we have a lot of contractors to pick from. We don't just have to go with Renfe and Mile High Youth Corps, although they may be the most cost effective. But we've got a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and it needs to be done as soon as we can get to it. So how do we go about doing that?
Well, we already approved money for Mile High Youth Corps this
Mm.
year, and I think they are planning on doing that. It is just later in the season.
Doing what?
I think it was like 2 weeks worth of
Mhm.
trail crew work.
Where?
Yeah, we have them for 2 weeks. The location isn't specified on the contract.
Oh, okay.
And I did want to mention that we had a request, Upper Ruxton, there is an access road that leads to Bar Trail. Are any of you familiar with that area? It's right, it's parallel to the cog. So Upper Ruxton, you hit a dirt trail, turns into an access road for, I believe, CSU and also emergency responders.
You mean like, are we talking about like the Rattlesnake Gulch Trail? Or that goes back up behind, up to the CSU like water treatment property?
For the name of it, I can take you up there, but the road is in really, really bad shape. And we had a request from search and rescue teams to regrade the road, which we can do. City of Manitou Springs, we can regrade the road. There's a section of trail that they use to access folks who are injured on the Bar Trail that could really use some mitigation as well. And I thought that might be a decent project for one of the 2 weeks we have Mile High Youth Corps for. But I'd like to show you the area first.
That'd be good. I believe that's like, I mean, at the Ute Pass Trail and the Ute Indian Trail.
Yeah.
Not Rattlesnake Gulch. I'm guessing it's basically where you go kind of northwest away from the base of the incline, and it's the Ute Pass Trail. Is that it? Because that seems more like
And
a
it
2-hour
connects
drive.
back into the.
I think it's the,
It's parallel to the creek. Like you can look down and see the creek.
I think that it's the shortcut that the runners use to go past all the switchbacks up Bar Trail. And there's a little trail that goes up the side, and then it comes into Bar Trail up a little higher from those switchbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might not be our property, so that would be a good thing to look at. But I mean, I think I think it's okay. I just, we want to make sure that we're managing the trail for, hikers and not, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a safety thing, and like if there's like an easeway or an easement that's for that, or a right of way that's for that, that's fine. But like kind of turning turning single track into like, a road for dirt bikers and for search and rescue, just something to consider.
Right.
Okay, can I, TJ?
I just wanted to also throw out there that kind of area over there has traditionally been taken care of by Friends of the Peak, Bar Trail and that kind of stuff. I'm looking through their PDF right now. They just had their August newsletter come out, and so I was seeing if they have any kind of information on that in there. It doesn't look like it right now, but that's the contact there is a guy named Steve Driska, and that's sending out the information, and we should
Steve Grevin
probably
is super involved with that too. Yeah,
exactly. So I think Friends of the Peak
He's
is
on their
usually the
board,
people that
yeah.
take care of that.
Okay.
but and CSU, I did a walkthrough a while back. So they have managed that trail as well, the Ute Trail, and organized like trail work with, I think Incline Friends has done work on it, but I think City of Colorado Springs has helped work on it. So
Okay, I think we need to get the right people together to say, here's the trail work that OSAC needs to do immediately or in the very near future, so that we have all of that in one place and we can allocate our resources wisely. And we need to do that sooner rather than later. So I think that's a sit down with Andrea, Jillian, and I, if we don't want to make it a public meeting.
maybe
And
we could do a walkthrough together. That would be
yes, do a walkthrough of all the trails
Mhm.
and what we believe need to be done. And then see what, and then allocate those to contractors that we're gonna use. And see if we can make sense out of that, see if we can do it wisely and get it done quickly. So can we set up a meeting? What's your
Yeah.
schedule like, Andrea? I know you're back in school, so.
Yeah, so afternoons are usually fine. Like, I mean, I know that's not ideal for other people, but anytime at like if we could meet at 4 or even 3, I can find a day, or I can work with you guys to find a day where I could actually do
Okay,
it.
well, we can, yeah, the three of us, if that sounds all right to everybody, does that sound all right if Andrea, Jillian and I sit down and do this?
So are you saying you're gonna actually walk through so many trails in one day? I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be on paper.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
think
on paper, okay.
between the two of us, between the three of us rather, I think we know the trails well enough to know what needs to be done.
Okay.
Jillian, you're probably got the tightest schedule here, some afternoon that you can do that?
What's our time frame, like within the next month?
Yeah.
Yeah,
within the next
well,
month,
and ideally be
sure.
useful for planning with Remfee, yeah. And
Okay,
yeah, how you do, so.
Actually, Fridays are, I know, like everyone loves meeting after work on Fridays. Not really, but Fridays are pretty
Right.
wide open for me in general. Just a super light meeting day, and then Wednesday mornings are also really good, and Wednesday afternoons.
Okay, well, you want to get together this coming Friday afternoon?
I could do that.
That works for me.
2 o'clock?
I can aim for 2 o'clock. I think that might work for me, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will be at City Hall, Jillian?
Yeah, we can meet there.
Okay. Can we? I don't think I've ever been to your office, have I? Do you have an office where we can sit down and meet, or can we get a room there?
We have a conference room in the Public Works building, so I could book that for us if that works for you guys.
Oh, up at the above the cemetery? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's where my office is. I'm in the Public Works building.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I kept putting you down in City Hall. Andrea, will that work for you?
Yep, that should work.
You know where that's at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, 2 o'clock in the Public Works building.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
just a comment on some trail work. I was on the Intamin the other day, and whoa, why did that happen? Where if you're walking west on the Intamin from Spring Street, and you just before you get to the big meadow, as you're walking up the hill towards the big meadow, that's been really, really badly washed out. And I thought, why did this happen? Because we planned on a bunch of work there. Remfee did do work there, and it's a really interesting study to look
That
at.
was the Mile High Youth Corps one, yeah.
Pardon?
That was one that the Mile High Youth Corps worked on.
But Remfee designed it. We
No,
walked through
we
it.
designed it. Yeah.
We talked about putting the swale there, and we were
Oh,
trying.
we oversaw. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And we wanted to get river. We were dealing with an arroyo that was coming down from up above, where that social trail kind of was closed off, and then it needed to cross the trail and just keep going. So there was a little rolling dam put in there, and then there was a cutout going down to the next phase. Anyway, to make a long story short, it's a good example of what happens when you don't open up and maintain those drains, because the drain completely clogged with pine needles and pine cones and sticks and everything. And that's what sent all the water running down the road instead of across the road. So it's just for me, looking at it, it was a really good lesson of, you know, just trail maintenance that goes through and cleans out those drains, or make sure that those swales or check dams or whatever are in good shape, because now we've got a major washout that's going to be, you know, more
It
time
needs to
consuming.
be like a seasonal thing, like
Yep.
every spring, you know, like that's a thing. If we can
Exactly.
get
Well,
there.
and probably after a lot of these I mean, it probably clogged after the number of rainstorms we had even before the big one that washed everything out. But yeah. So anyway, if you're
Yeah.
interested in trail building and trail maintenance and management, it's interesting to go up and look at it.
It seems to me like it wasn't quite in the right place either.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't crazy about it, but yeah.
But yeah, that is one spot where we had Jillian just briefly mentioned that she and Carl were looking at too for definitely some work right there. So
Okay, great.
yeah. And if anybody has thoughts, please share, you know, can shoot an email.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. We're to the end.
Yay.
Anybody have any last words?
Well, we have these two volunteer and funding on here.
We have
So
what?
that's part of, so I guess I didn't really directly say anything about this, but that there is an email in the packet that Corey just sent me, was where he listed some you know, just trail work options for getting stuff done. And that was part of that, just trying to figure out, you know, who are some volunteer groups, you know, that can help with that, you know, what are some contractors, and then I guess funding would be another discussion point.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand what you said, because I didn't catch. First you said we have a carryover of $317,000. Then you said,
Yes.
well, we're short. Now I didn't understand that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it gets confusing, and it gets confusing in the numbers until you catch on to what's going on. We have a carryover. Every year we have a carryover because we're not spending everything down to zero.
Right.
So at the beginning of the fiscal year, we had a carryover of about $317,000. Okay, and then we have money come in. So for a while, it looks like we're crazy rich. It looks like we have almost $600,000 in there. But all of that money is pretty much committed. Okay, so we have to be a little bit careful. Nancy, I can't hear you. You're muted. So all of that money, we have to be careful when we see those numbers that we don't get carried away.
So what, as far as you can tell,
So it looks like we're ending up with for the money this year, net, we're going to be in minus 70,000. But some of that money we're not spending, like $50,000 on the master plan and stuff like that. That's not going to happen the next year. So my point is that net, it looks like we're in pretty good shape, and we can afford to spend some more money on trails.
so what does pretty good shape mean?
Pretty good shape means I think we're probably at about even now, and we can afford to go net minus 30,000 or something, 40,000, whatever it takes to get this done, because we got to do it anyway. So yeah, Judith, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you for making that correction though. Is there a budget retreat scheduled, or
Yes,
are we thinking about that?
November or something, so we'll have to put
Okay,
together.
so that's on the books. Okay, I just
Well, I don't know if the retreat is on the books, but
Our retreat has to be before the budget meeting.
it has to
That's
be
been
before the
changed.
budget meeting. So
Yeah. That needs to be happen in September, actually,
yeah.
early October.
That's coming.
Yeah.
Like,
so just segueing into that. In fact, it was on my list of things to ask you anyway, but this is a good time to talk about that, because as I recall, last year, was it not in October?
Yes, it
mhm.
was, or end of September. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm sorry I missed it, but I thought the last time, I mean, I I think we're going to have a carryover so far, looking at the budget, of $250,000 probably at the end of this year.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Okay, good. All right.
So that's gonna be a minus
We
70.
are on the same page. And the other thing I'm wondering is, have you talked to Robin at all about being part of the budget committee?
No, that's Robin. I sent you those,
Like a setup, Robin.
did you have a chance to look at that?
I did look at it. And so, yeah, I have started. So yeah, I can be part of the budget crew and yeah, so I'm,
Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot about that, Robin.
Yeah.
Thanks for the answer.
no, I went over the numbers and if you and I want to meet and kind of go over that a little bit more so that I'm can follow what you and Nancy are the way you're looking at it. I think I may need a little bit of review
Yeah,
on
yeah,
how
it's
you're.
not straightforward, is it?
Well, maybe the thing to do, since three of us can't meet, is Robin, for you and I to meet, and I can give you the history, because I've been doing the budget for a few years now. And then Robin and Tim, you can meet and carry forward from here,
Okay,
because I'll be backing out of that.
Okay,
okay, yeah, great, let's do that. So you two, Robin and Nancy get together.
I'll
and
email you, Robin.
Yeah.
okay, sounds good.
Your
So-
people will talk to her people.
Do we also need now to set up that budget meeting? If it's gonna be in September,
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, Jillian. Could you, the way this was done last time is that Denise managed that budget meeting. We all got together, she managed the slide
Facilitated it, yeah.
and the logistics of it and worked through it with us. Would you ask Denise if she's gonna do that, or I can ask Denise, why don't I do that? I'll contact Denise about the budget meeting. Okay.
And Tim, just for clarification, it wasn't just a budget meeting, it was our goal setting and
Our
budget.
goal
meeting.
setting, right,
for the
right.
year,
no,
yeah.
Yeah, okay, Denise on budget.
I think what we did last year, now that I think about it, is we did it at our regularly scheduled meeting
Yeah.
in September.
Our,
We might have even,
our offsite.
right,
God.
and we just we made it a longer meeting, or we started earlier or something.
were we in person?
Mhm.
That's what I thought,
Yeah,
in person.
Okay, we've got a couple of other things to cover. I'm sorry, I forgot about this. We were gonna talk about the possibility of an OSAC hire.
but can we
Jillian,
wrap this up? Are we gonna schedule it for our next meeting? Is that
Well,
gonna be a retreat?
the executive retreat, yeah, should we schedule that?
No,
We
no,
have
no,
to.
wait. Nancy, I think you're talking about different things. Nancy's I think asking, excuse me,
Yeah,
Nancy.
we are talking about different things.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and
we
Okay,
need,
I'm talking about the budget goal setting
Right.
meeting.
he was talking about the
I
retreat.
was talking about something else.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So the
And I
next
do think-
the next meeting would be the 25th of September. That's
And I
Right.
think it should be in
So
September.
the question would be then, can Denise do it?
Denise do it.
Can Denise facilitate on the 25th?
And then we would meet in person, right?
Yeah, that'd be
We did
best.
last time.
That'll be best. We might as well all see each other. September 25th. Okay, I will call. I will call Denise and see if we can arrange that. All right,
Mhm.
we're done on that. We did have that one other thing to talk about. Well, we have two other things to talk about. The possibility of a hire for OSAC, which I don't know, Jillian, did you make any progress on that? I don't think this is something we're gonna be able to do. I'll lead with that, which isn't a very good lead, but for now anyway, I don't think that's something we can do.
Well, I have some information on it if you want to hear it. It's just really brief, but
Good.
Essentially, I mean, what I've heard during our trail discussion is that we desperately need someone to analyze the trail system, monitor for needs, make sure that contractors are doing adequate work and looking for washouts and drainage issues. So I think that this position would be exactly that. So I did two different titles. I have trail project specialist or open space technician. And this is just an idea. But essentially this person would be in charge of trail maintenance within the Manitou Springs open spaces. They would be limited to open spaces. And this is really important because what we're really good at in our department, I've learned, is everyone goes everywhere. But this specific position, because we do want to make sure that they're laser focused on our soft surface trails, they would be in our open space system. So they would coordinate volunteer trail work days throughout the season. They would not be doing all the trail work by themselves. That's really a key here. They'd be organizing volunteer groups and helping manage whatever groups we have contracted out for larger projects. So part of that, they'd hike the trail system, that they would identify more complex trail maintenance needs and assist with contracting. They would monitor work being done on the properties. They would do routine site visits with OSAC, myself, and our parks manager, Brad Barr, and they would assist with the assessment of potential property acquisitions. So they wouldn't take a huge part in that, but they would help walk the properties, consider trail options for those properties, and just be there as an extra set of eyes. So this position essentially would be helping to maintain our soft surface trails within Manitou Springs.
And what,
Isn't there a lot of overlap between that and Brad's position?
There's some overlap. Brad's position is, he's our parks manager. And so he is directly supervising our folks who are doing the mowing and the weed eating and maintaining our fountain, not the mineral springs, but the fountains throughout the city. So a lot of his job is focused on in-town supervision, but doesn't leave a ton of time for that soft surface trail, especially the maintenance aspect. So there is some overlap, and the way I divided it, Tim, was so 85% of Brad's role right now is managing projects in town, and it's 15%, which is still a lot, but he's able to spend that on open spaces. With this additional position coming on, they would be 95% in the open space, and 5% assisting with other duties that might be elsewhere.
Okay, what do people think of that?
Nancy?
Nancy?
well, I really appreciate, Jillian, your work on this. There's a few things. First of all, we have Rimfee under contract for $18,000 a year to do some of this work, including volunteer coordination on their projects that they're going to do for us and all that. My concern is, and did you put a salary figure in, Jillian?
I knew I forgot. I should have started with that. All right, so there's two models. I did a 9-month seasonal and then a full year, a full-time position. So with the 9-month seasonal position, that would I estimated $18 an hour. That's about what our trail technicians make now. That would be okay, $26,000. All right, that's a 9-month seasonal position, and we would need to add in sick leave because our seasonal employees do accrue sick time, so that would need to be factored in. Add in like $300 for a uniform, so keep that in mind. So that's $26,000 base. Full time, and that would be with benefits, would be around $53,000.
Yep. So my concern is, once we hire somebody, and that becomes an obligation every year, or you have to let that person go. And Corey just sent us a nice list of contractors. I mean, it would be great, Jillian, I appreciate what you said about Brad's 15%, because, when you and he were hired, just history wise, Brad's position was supposed to be available to OSAC to do things like supervise contractors, supervise Mile High Youth Corps when they were here, work with Rimfee when they're here, those kinds of things. Now we do have some serious trail maintenance issues, but
Right.
we also have a list of contractors who, you know, do the job and then they're done, and they don't stay a line item in our budget forever and ever.
Right.
I'm just concerned about making a commitment to that kind of position. And we're literally overnight going from a department that has had no paid help, that we were all volunteers, to having a parks manager and a parks and rec director, all on this side that we've never had before. And now we're talking about adding another position, seasonal or full-time. And we've literally done this in like 2 years. I don't think we've had a chance to work with contractors. We did last year with Rimfee and Mile High. And now Tim is talking about, we're going to need probably more like heavy equipment on some of these washouts, or it'll take months to get them done.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's not even probably something, the position that you're talking about, Jillian, could do. They would have to hire operators or graders or whatever, those kinds of things. Anyway, I guess just to say, I think it's premature for us. We need to go through another season working with contractors. And I think we'll learn a lot from that. I don't know. Once we hire somebody, we really have an obligation to that person. And I can tell you from my experience in government, they don't go away. They become part of the bottom line.
PJ.
Just as a little counterpoint, I think that Nancy is saying a lot of really important things. However, we were blessed over the past few years of having Seth go out there and take care of a lot of these little small things that we had crop up on our trails at various times. The issue that I have with contractors or any of these volunteer groups that are also on this list is that we have sometimes more immediate and pressing needs, and our contractors are 4, 5, 6 months off into the future. Between that and there's, you know, we've had a MOU with Trail Cats for a while, and they haven't really been super active in Manitou Springs as well. So, I mean, we're kind of depending on what people want to do and their availability at that point. Having somebody on staff would help us address some of these serious immediate pressing needs that we have on our trail system too. I mean, we can't just be like, well, it's gonna wash out in monsoon season and they're gonna fix it in November. You know, I don't think that's a responsible way of going about it either. So not saying that Nancy's you know, ideas about bringing on a full-time or even a part-time employee to do this is without merit or anything, but you know, there's a lot of needs.
Yeah, Robin.
What happened to Seth? Do we still have Seth?
So
Brad
that's
is our
long-
new Seth. He's the new parks manager.
And you say right now, Jillian, you've assigned him 15% to us?
Oh, no. So the 85-15 would be if we had an assigned OSAC trail technician. Brad spends more time in our open spaces and trails right now. He needs to. It's his job.
Because we need him, right? So we still do have a chef, Brad, only now it's Brad. So we still do have that position. Yeah, I agree with you, TJ, that it would be nice to have somebody immediately.
Well, there's Jillian offered us a
Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
I don't think an $18 an hour person probably has the kind of skills and know-how we're talking about with dealing with some of these issues. For example, the place you've been concerned about on Iron Mountain, Tim. We
yeah.
talked about needing, you know, heavy equipment up there, or what is the solution? A person who doesn't have a really good depth of trail experience and just plain geology is going to have a really hard time coming up with a solution for a couple of these big washouts. I mean,
But they could
we need
Well,
manage.
that one's a special.
we need some expertise.
And it would be nice probably to have somebody that can like organize the process of figuring out what needs to happen and who could best do it, you know, so that's off.
Yeah.
Parks Department plate.
Yeah.
Or
Another consideration would be if you're paying them $18 an hour and you hire him for 9 months, chances are that over the next 3, he's going to take that resume and go somewhere where he can make more, or she. And so we won't really have a chance perhaps to have a person stay and develop that depth, even if we thought about it. I don't think they will stay for 3 months hanging around for the next cycle. I think they'll say, this is my experience, look what I did, blah, 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 and they'll be gone. And so it could be a very shallow, non-productive relationship the next time around, because you're going to keep starting you risk the chance of starting over every time, hiring another person for 9 months and another person.
Yeah, you've hired a laborer, basically.
Yeah. And
I don't know what the solution is here.
I don't either. I think we ought to table it and talk about it later.
Well,
But
we've got
it's
everybody
something to
talking
think
about
about.
it.
I mean, it has many facets, and it's something just to really start thinking about.
Well, and just in terms of background, when before Jillian was hired, OSAC and Parab we had many discussions when the post plan was written. And at that time, we both agreed that we desperately needed a parks and recreation department. And that has happened now, which is great. But at that time, we were kind of like, so Parks and Rec will be Parks and Rec, and OSAC comes under kind of the rec part. And maybe it's in my mind, but I was like, okay, 50-50, that person's going to be half parks and half trails and open space and recreation. It hasn't worked out that way for us, but I still think, Jillian, a significant amount of yours and Brad's time has to be spent for open space. And I think, I'm not saying it isn't, I'm just saying that we're a big part of what you guys do. And maybe we need to know, how those, what you honestly can't get done that we need done, kind of thing.
Okay.
And also, I would say, just to taking the example we had tonight about the culverts, they didn't have any maintenance, so everything piled up and then over the road it went.
Yeah.
That example is a good example of something we need to look at, but it's just a true statement. Then it just has to be scheduled to have that checked. But that's not, I don't know. I just have to think about this. I think it's a lot to think about. I really do. Because you don't want it to be a bad experience, and you don't want to feel like, oh man, we got a person we have to micromanage. I don't want that.
Jillian, is it possible to get a person that we split between OSAC and Parks, or so?
Possible. It's tough because one of those divisions is going to take precedent. It always happens. So with the Trails, Open Space, and Parks Rangers in Colorado Springs, the reason it works so well is because those rangers are only permitted to be on TOPS properties. Our trail maintenance specialist or trail project specialist, Dan, he can only work on TOPS purchased properties. So that's really helpful. So his time isn't divided, because compared to a park like Palmer Park, which has way more visitation, that would end up taking precedent if Dan was able to be split. So it's definitely possible to split someone's role, but in reality, what would happen is they would start going towards those more populated places because they are getting more use, and they would be pulled away from the open spaces. That would be my worry, but it definitely would be possible. it would just take extremely great management, which I can do, but it's tough when you know that someone could help with this project. But
we have approximately $225,000 a year that comes in to OSAC. That's how much money comes into us from taxes. So it sounds like we're being a little petty, but $53,000 is a big chunk of that. And we would have to get that amount of worth out of somebody that we wouldn't be paying to contractors. And I'm not saying we can't do that, but that would take some really good management too. And it would also take somebody else working with that person to make it to make it happen. It just wouldn't be feasible for one person to be able to do that much work without a crew working with them. So, so we got a lot to think about. We got a lot to think about, and I'd say, yeah, let's if it's, yeah, I would say let's push that off for another month, and that'll be a good thing to talk about the offsite.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable?
I think that's I think it's just like overwhelmingly. It takes a lot of thought.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna punt.
Well, temporarily.
Julian, is that acceptable to you?
yes, and I mean, just to put this in context, this took tops like 20 years to get staff for them. So I'll wait you guys out.
Okay.
And an OSAC staff member eventually, so it's all good.
All right, great. So we'll take this, that will be on the agenda for our goal setting meeting, and let's all think about that real hard. There is one other thing, and I'm sorry to do this, and it's not on the agenda, so I don't know if I'm allowed to do it. But we had talked about sending people to training, and the only reason this even came into my brain was that I was looking over the budget, and it was a budget item, $5,000. So I looked up the open space. What the heck is it, Nancy? Open space
Open Space, Colorado Open Space
Alliance,
COSA.
And COSA is having their conference up in at Snowmass. That's near Vail. Near Vail? No, that's near Aspen, rather. So it's a haul away, and it's still open. It's October. You drive up there October 1st. It's just a Sunday, and then you'd go to meetings for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and drive back the afternoon of the 4th. And they have a very detailed agenda. There's a whole bunch of things you can choose from. They're not things that I'm necessarily wildly interested in. They're things that somebody that is an OSAC professional and career-minded would be very interested in. But the question is, do we want to send some people up there? And if we do, I suppose I will go up and be enthusiastic to go to some of these things. So
and I will mention Brad Barr is going to that conference, so you would have a friendly face there.
Oh, well, that would be good. So we have a
Really good. I could just say for anybody, I've gone once before, and to me, it's like going to any professional conference. If you get 1 or 2 or 3 great ideas that you come back and implement, it's worth it. Yeah. And it covers everything from, people's issues with trails to raising money to working with volunteers to various easement issues and all those kinds of things. So
let's do this. I will send out or I will have Jillian, I will send out to Jillian to send out to us an email containing links for both COSA and for their conference. And it has a very detailed vita on it of everything that's going on. And take a look at it, and you need to get back. I can't do this. I can't say get back to me. But we need to get this out by the end of the week because we're running out of space. They've already ran out of rooms at the conference center, but they have someplace very close by. And this will all be in the information that we're going to send you.
What's the registration fee?
The registration fee is $350. It was $275 for early registration. And then, like I said, we'll be going to the cheap seats, and the cheap seats in Snowmass are $150 a night.
Yep.
It's 4 nights or
And it's let's see, first, second, third.
It's usually 2.5 days of conference.
Yeah, it's second, third, fourth. Yeah, 2.5 days. So no, you don't have to stay. And we could drive up, we could carpool, but I wouldn't be willing to carpool because I have a friend that I want to visit on the way back. So.
and this is something that OSAC would pay for?
Yes.
per person?
Yep.
And in the past, like if we've had 2 men who are going or 2 women who are going or whatever, we've tried to share rooms. Just so more people could go.
Mhm.
So I would urge anybody who thinks they can go to go, because it's
Okay, well, I'll have to do the numbers and cut it off someplace. So I guess it's first come, first serve. Nancy,
you can borrow from another line item, Tim. It's okay.
yeah, that's true. We can spend more money. But yeah, what can I say, Judith?
I'm very interested in attending, and since I didn't attend the CML conference this year because there just weren't that many interesting things to spend that money on, we have a different budget line item for council members to attend a conference. So I'm going to look into that and see if I can register you accessing those funds. So and I'll let you know.
Okay, but that would be outside of a different.
Yeah, that's a different general fund line that we access funds for council to.
Okay, so I figure we've got about 5 seats we can fill. $1,000 for each of us, and maybe a little more. I'm not big on sharing a room.
I'm not either, but
I'm not a great sleeper, so.
That's what happens when you've been a Peace Corps volunteer. You can sleep anywhere.
Okay, so let's say we get this together by the end of the week. Jillian, I'll send you an email with, and you can just forward it on to everybody. I guess that's the only way I can do this, right? I can't think of any other way that doesn't break the system, and then everybody can contact me individually.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
It's not 2-way. I think you can just send out a 1-way, can't you? If nobody
I cannot.
responds to all, okay.
No, because that's
right.
That appears to be just faking it. People are wise to that. So
Before I forget, for the 1800th time, I have not been able to get in on one of our meetings ever without going through the rigmarole. Is there some way to bypass that, Jillian, and just get me in as a member?
What is the rigmarole that you're going to?
Rigmarole is it always says we can't admit you. You're an alien. Something.
I can double check with Elena. She helps me set these up, and I'll make sure that you're on the list, so you don't have to rigmarole.
Yeah, I want to be on the list.
Okay, I'll email her right after this, so I don't forget.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
okay.
I make a motion.
Just a second. Okay, I think we're done with the agenda, and if I can hear a motion to adjourn, Judy.
I make a motion to adjourn. It's been delightful, but it's.
Do we have a second?
Thank,
Everybody's a second. Okay, Andrea second.
even TJ did.
Yeah, okay, then thank you, everybody. It's great to see you, and
Thanks, Jillian.
we're adjourned. Jillian, can you send me a text with your phone, with your, I don't know if I have your office phone number or your mobile phone number. I need your mobile phone number. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'll send it to you, Tim, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Night all.
Bye,
Night-
everybody.
Nighty night. All right.
Night.
Bye.